What if I told you that the government, big corporations, and even some doctors spent decades trying to convince your grandmother she was wrong? That the simple brown bottle she kept under her sink was somehow dangerous, irresponsible, even reckless? Well, science just caught up with Grandma, and the verdict is in. She was a genius. Today we are counting down 25 hydrogen peroxide hacks from the 1960s that were literally banned, dismissed, or laughed at by the establishment, and that researchers are now calling some of the most brilliant home remedies ever documented. Stay until the end, because number 1 is going to completely change how you think about that little brown bottle forever. Before we dive in, let me paint you a picture. It is 1962. Your grandmother is in her kitchen humming along to the radio, and she has got a brown bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide sitting right next to her baking soda and white vinegar. She is using it for everything. Her neighbors think she is a little eccentric. Her doctor raises an eyebrow. And then, slowly but surely, household chemical companies and pharmaceutical brands start lobbying against these old-fashioned remedies because they cannot make money off a bottle that costs 30 cents. So they push the narrative that hydrogen peroxide is dangerous, unreliable, and should be left to the professionals. Sound familiar? Let us start the countdown. Number 25. The cutting board sanitizer. In the 1960s, grandmothers would pour hydrogen peroxide directly onto their wooden cutting boards after chopping meat or vegetables, let it fizz for about 5 minutes, then wipe it clean. Health officials in the mid-century era warned against this, pushing bleach-based products as the only safe sanitizer for kitchen surfaces. Grandma ignored them. Here is how to do it the right way. Pour undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide directly onto your wooden or plastic cutting board. Let it sit and bubble for a full 5 minutes. The fizzing action you see is the hydrogen peroxide reacting with organic material and bacteria. Then wipe it down with a clean cloth and rinse with warm water. Why does it work? Hydrogen peroxide releases oxygen molecules that destroy the cell walls of bacteria, including Salmonella and E. coli. Modern food science studies have confirmed this is not only effective, but gentler on wooden boards than harsh bleach solutions. Number 24. The vegetable wash. Your grandmother likely soaked her produce in a diluted hydrogen peroxide bath before cooking. She would mix about a quarter cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide into a full sink of cold water. Submerge her vegetables for about 20 minutes, then rinse thoroughly. Grocery store chains and emerging pesticide manufacturers in the 60s pushed back hard on this practice, wanting consumers to trust that store-bought produce was already clean. Current research from multiple agricultural universities confirms that a diluted hydrogen peroxide soak removes significantly more pesticide residue and surface bacteria than plain water rinsing alone. Number 23. The foot soak for fungus. Grandma would fill a basin with warm water, add about 3 tablespoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide per gallon of water, and soak her feet for 20 to 30 minutes twice a week. Pharmacies in the 1960s were beginning to push antifungal creams and powders hard, and foot soaks with household chemicals were labeled as ineffective folk remedies. The science behind this is solid. Hydrogen peroxide creates an oxygen-rich environment in which anaerobic organisms like toenail fungus cannot survive. For best results, dry your feet thoroughly afterward and apply a thin layer of coconut oil to lock in moisture. Number 22. The mouth rinse for gum health. In the early 60s, grandmothers across America would dilute hydrogen peroxide 1 part to 2 parts water and use it as a mouthwash, swishing for 60 seconds before spitting. The American Dental Association in that era largely dismissed this in favor of branded mouthwash products flooding the market. Fast forward to today, and dentists routinely recommend diluted hydrogen peroxide rinses for gingivitis, gum inflammation, and oral bacteria. The oxidizing action kills anaerobic bacteria responsible for bad breath and gum disease. Never swallow it. Always dilute to at least 1 part peroxide to 2 parts water, and limit use to 2 or 3 times per week. Number 21. The ear cleaning drop. Grandma would tilt her head, drop 3 to 5 drops of 3% hydrogen peroxide into her ear canal, let it fizz and bubble for about 60 seconds, then drain it out. Ear doctors in the 1960s pushed expensive ear irrigation kits and professional cleaning services instead. Today, hydrogen peroxide ear drops are literally sold in pharmacies under brand names, and audiologists confirm the method is effective for softening and removing excess earwax. The fizzing breaks up compacted wax, allowing it to drain naturally. Use body temperature or slightly warm peroxide to avoid dizziness. Number 20. The laundry brightener. Instead of the harsh chlorine bleach that was being aggressively marketed in the 60s, Grandma would add 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide directly into the washing machine drum along with her regular detergent. It whitened whites and brightened colors without destroying fabric fibers over time. Bleach companies lobbied extensively to position chlorine bleach as the only legitimate laundry whitener. Modern textile scientists now confirm that hydrogen peroxide is a far gentler oxidizing bleach that is biodegradable and far less damaging to fibers than chlorine-based alternatives. Number 19. The grout cleaner. Mix hydrogen peroxide with baking soda into a thick paste. Apply it to bathroom grout with an old toothbrush. Let it sit for 15 minutes, then scrub and rinse. In the 60s, chemical cleaning companies pushed tile-specific commercial products as the only solution for grout discoloration. The combination works because the hydrogen peroxide lifts staining molecules, while the mild abrasive quality of baking soda scrubs them away simultaneously. Modern cleaning researchers describe this as a near-perfect grout cleaning system that outperforms many commercial alternatives in independent testing. Number 18. The Seed Germination Boost. Grandma would soak her garden seeds overnight in a solution of 1 teaspoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide per cup of water before planting them. Agricultural extension offices in the 1960s largely dismissed home seed treatments, pushing commercially treated seed packets instead. Today, horticultural science confirms that a brief hydrogen peroxide soak softens the seed coat, kills surface mold and pathogens, and increases the oxygen availability around the seed embryo, resulting in significantly faster and more uniform germination rates. Number 17. The refrigerator wipe down. Every week, Grandma would spray the inside walls, shelves, and drawers of her refrigerator with undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide. Let it sit for 5 minutes, then wipe dry. Food storage companies were pushing specialized refrigerator deodorizers and cleansers in the early 60s. The hydrogen peroxide method eliminates mold spores, bacteria, and yeast that cause food to spoil faster. Because hydrogen peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen, it leaves zero chemical residue that could transfer to your food, which makes it significantly safer than many commercial refrigerator sprays. Number 16. The wound cleaning debate flip. This one is fascinating because it actually went in both directions. In the 60s, Grandma poured hydrogen peroxide on cuts and scrapes. Then doctors banned it, saying it damaged healthy tissue. Then more recent research came back and said limited, brief application on initial wound cleaning is beneficial for removing debris and killing surface bacteria. The key instruction here is this. Use it only once on an initial fresh wound to clean out debris and bacteria. Rinse thoroughly with clean water after 30 seconds, and never use it on deep puncture wounds or ongoing healing tissue. The 60-second debridement function is what Grandma actually understood, even if she overdid the frequency. Number 15. The tile and toilet bowl cleaner. Pour half a cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide into the toilet bowl. Let it sit for 30 minutes without flushing, then scrub with a toilet brush and flush. For tile surfaces, spray and let sit for 10 minutes before wiping. Plumbing product companies in the 60s were pushing chemical-heavy toilet bowl cleaners with bold marketing claiming only their products could truly sanitize. The peroxide method kills bacteria and lightens staining through oxidation without releasing chlorine gas or leaving harsh chemical residue in your water supply. Number 14. The nasal rinse for sinus congestion. Grandma would mix a very diluted solution of hydrogen peroxide, roughly 10 parts water to 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide, and use it in a nasal rinse. Medical professionals in the 60s pushed decongestant pills and later sprays as the only legitimate sinus relief. Now, some ENT specialists and integrative medicine practitioners acknowledge that extremely diluted hydrogen peroxide nasal rinses can reduce bacterial load in the nasal passages. This one requires precision. The dilution must be correct. Use distilled or sterilized water, and do not attempt this with anything stronger than the mildest dilution. Number 13. The armpit stain remover. Mix 2 parts hydrogen peroxide with 1 part dish soap. Apply to yellow armpit stains on white shirts. Let sit for 1 hour, then launder as normal. Dry cleaning services and laundry stain product companies in the early 60s pushed the idea that yellow armpit staining was essentially permanent without professional treatment or specialized products. The peroxide oxidizes the protein compounds in sweat that bind to fabric and cause yellowing, while the dish soap lifts the loosened residue away. This still works better than most commercial stain removers on the market today. Number 12. The countertop disinfectant. Spray 3% hydrogen peroxide across kitchen counters. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, then wipe with a clean cloth. In the mid-60s, Lysol and similar brands were exploding onto the market, backed by advertising campaigns that made homemakers feel their homes were dangerously contaminated without commercial disinfectants. Hydrogen peroxide at 3% concentration kills a broad spectrum of bacteria, viruses, and fungi on hard surfaces. Studies from food safety laboratories confirm contact time is the key variable. 5 full minutes of contact time is what activates its full disinfection potential. Number 11. The foot odor eliminator for shoes. Grandma would spray the inside of shoes with hydrogen peroxide. Let them dry completely in the sun, and the odor would vanish. Shoe care product companies were pushing cedar inserts, powders, and sprays in the 60s. The hydrogen peroxide kills the odor-causing bacteria that live inside shoes and thrive in the warm, moist environment inside footwear. The sun exposure combined with the peroxide creates a double-action bacterial kill. Always let shoes dry fully before wearing because residual moisture can itself promote bacterial growth. Number 10. The garden mold and mildew spray. Mix 1 tablespoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide per cup of water in a spray bottle and apply it directly to plant leaves showing signs of powdery mildew or fungal spots. Allow the leaves to dry naturally. Chemical pesticide companies in the 60s were pushing heavy fungicide sprays that often damaged surrounding beneficial insects and soil microbiomes. The diluted hydrogen peroxide creates a brief oxidizing effect on the fungal cell structure while breaking down quickly into water and oxygen, leaving no toxic residue on edible plants or in soil. Modern organic gardeners consider this one of the foundational sustainable garden treatments. Number 9. The hair lightening treatment. Grandma would mix hydrogen peroxide with water at roughly equal parts and apply it to hair sections. She wanted to lighten gradually, then sit in the sun. Professional hair salons in the 60s pushed expensive bleaching services and proprietary highlighting products. Hydrogen peroxide is, in fact, the active ingredient in virtually every commercial hair bleaching product on the market. The sun exposure activates the oxidizing process more gently than heat tools. The key is using 3% concentration, not anything stronger, and conditioning thoroughly afterward, because any bleaching process does reduce moisture in hair structure. Number 8. The dishwasher booster. Add 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide directly to the dishwasher dispenser, along with your regular dish soap. Grandma did this in the early 60s before automatic dishwashers became dominant, using it in her wash basin. Dish soap manufacturers were already building a monopoly on kitchen cleaning products. The hydrogen peroxide acts as a natural degreaser and sanitizer, boosting the effectiveness of your regular dish soap and leaving dishes with a squeaky clean finish. It also naturally deodorizes the inside of the dishwasher itself during each cycle. Number 7. The sunburn soothing spray. Grandma would spray a light mist of diluted hydrogen peroxide, about 1 part peroxide to 3 parts cool water, onto sunburned skin and allow it to dry without rubbing. Sun care companies were still in their infancy in the 60s and were not yet the dominant market force they would become. The light oxidizing action of diluted peroxide on the surface skin layer can reduce surface bacteria that cause sunburned skin to become infected, while the cool solution itself provides immediate temperature relief. This is a surface treatment only and should never be applied to blistered or broken sunburned skin. Number 6. The mold removal spray for bathroom walls. Spray undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide directly onto moldy bathroom wall surfaces. Let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes without rinsing, then scrub and wipe clean. Chemical companies in the 60s were pushing dedicated mold-killing sprays with harsh chlorine compounds. Hydrogen peroxide penetrates the mold structure, oxidizes the root system called hyphae, and kills the mold at a cellular level. Because it leaves no toxic residue, it is significantly safer for bathrooms where children and elderly people spend time in an enclosed space. Number 5. The whitening toothpaste booster. Grandma would dip her toothbrush in a small amount of baking soda and then add 2 to 3 drops of hydrogen peroxide to create a natural whitening paste. She would brush gently for 2 minutes, then rinse thoroughly. Toothpaste companies in the early 60s were aggressively marketing proprietary whitening formulas as the only path to a brighter smile. The baking soda acts as a mild abrasive to polish surface stain, while the hydrogen peroxide oxidizes deeper stain molecules within the enamel surface. This is precisely why commercial whitening strips today use hydrogen peroxide as their core active ingredient. Limit this practice to 2 times per week to protect enamel. Number 4. Cleaning dentures. Grandma was not going to pay for specialized denture cleaning tablets she considered overpriced novelties. She soaked her dentures overnight in a solution of water and hydrogen peroxide. Dentists of the 1960s were mixed on this. Some warned that it might degrade denture materials. Dental supply companies, who were selling those cleaning tablets, had every incentive to discourage the practice. Modern dental research has confirmed that hydrogen peroxide effectively kills Candida and other microorganisms that colonize denture surfaces and cause oral infections in denture wearers. Studies have found it comparable to commercial denture cleaners in effectiveness. Soaking in a diluted solution of 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide to 1 part water for 30 minutes is now considered a legitimate and effective cleaning approach by many dental researchers. Number 3. The laundry mold and mildew smell eliminator. If towels or clothes develop that musty, mildewy smell that no amount of regular washing could remove, Grandma would soak them in a bucket of hot water with 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide for 30 minutes before running them through the washing machine as normal. Fabric softener and detergent companies in the 60s were pushing the idea that specialized fabric care products were the only solution. The hydrogen peroxide penetrates deep into fabric fibers and oxidizes the mold spore colonies that embed themselves in textile weave patterns and cause persistent odor. This works where standard detergent fails, because detergent does not kill mold. It merely washes surface soil away. Number 2. The plant root rot treatment. Grandma would water stressed or root-rotting potted plants with a solution of 1 teaspoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide per cup of water. Commercial fertilizer and plant care companies in the early 60s pushed specialized fungicide root treatments as the only solution for root rot. Here is exactly what happens at a biological level. Root rot is caused by anaerobic fungi and bacteria that thrive in low-oxygen, waterlogged soil conditions. When you water with diluted hydrogen peroxide, the solution releases oxygen directly into the soil around the root zone, killing the anaerobic pathogens and simultaneously providing the roots with an oxygen-rich environment that promotes recovery. Plant enthusiasts and horticulturalists today call this one of the most effective rescue treatments for overwatered plants. Number 1. The all-purpose household spray that replaced dozens of products. And here it is, the hack that genuinely drove chemical companies absolutely wild. In the early 1960s, Grandmothers kept a single spray bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide on hand and used it for virtually everything we have discussed today and more. They did not need 15 different commercial products for 15 different tasks. One bottle handled surface disinfection, produce washing, laundry boosting, wound cleaning, dental health, garden care, and food preservation. The chemical and cleaning industry in the post-war era built its entire market expansion strategy around convincing the American household. So here's the thing. Grandma was not practicing folk medicine. She was practicing applied chemistry before most people even understood what applied chemistry meant. She knew that hydrogen peroxide fizzed on bacteria and broke things down and left behind nothing but water and oxygen. She did not need a PhD to understand that. She needed observation, patience, and the willingness to trust what worked. The next time someone tells you that something simple and old-fashioned cannot possibly work because it does not come in a fancy package with a clinical-sounding name, remember this countdown. Remember the cutting board she sanitized, the seeds she germinated, the fruit she kept fresh 3 days longer than her neighbors, and the laundry she brightened without destroying a single fiber. That brown bottle cost her almost nothing. And it turns out it was worth everything. If this video saved you money or changed how you think about what is already in your home, hit that like button right now, because this kind of content takes serious research, and every like tells the algorithm that real useful knowledge deserves to be seen. Subscribe if you want more forgotten wisdom that the modern world tried to bury, because we are just getting started. And drop in the comments below. Which of Grandma's hacks are you trying first? I want to know. See you in the next one.